As we go into Labor Day weekend, I'm putting together a different kind of an episode today. It's an episode to flex one of my superpowers, which is organizing information. Welcome to the Pharmacist's Voice podcast, episode 345. I am your host, Ohio pharmacist Kim Newlove. I developed a problem about 10 to 15 years ago. The year was 2010, and my superpower of organizing information helped me solve the problem. The initial problem was I wanted to read more, and I didn't have time to just sit down and read. A lot of moms with young children have this problem. It was the year 2010, I would say. I had a 5-year old, a 7-year old with autism, and I worked part time as a pharmacist at Walgreens. When I had free time, and if y'all are working, you know there's not much free time when you're a mom and you're working. Reading just was not a priority. I am now 47 years old. The kids are 20 and 22 years old. And there were just some years I just didn't read. I just didn't read much for several years when my kids were very young. And then one of my mom friends, Jen, told me about audiobooks. She said that she listened to an audiobook while she folded laundry, and I was so jealous. Yes, sometimes we moms get jealous of things like that. This was years ago. I just didn't have much free time, didn't get to do stuff for me. So if you can imagine me folding laundry and doing nothing, oh man, when I heard that she was listening to an audiobook while folding laundry, I was jealous. So I immediately figured out how to borrow audiobooks from my local library and I listened to them. Back in the day, we had CD players. We played CDs for audiobooks. We didn't have AirPods and Beats headphones and things like that. We had wired headphones or earbuds, really cheap earbuds. But at least we had audiobooks and we could listen to them. I remember listening to my first audiobook and thinking, why didn't I try this sooner? This is awesome. I straight up fell in love with audiobooks, and I was so grateful to my friend Jen who told me about them. I listened to several audiobooks per month. I listened to them when I was at the gym, walking my dogs, doing my dishes, folding my laundry, cooking, and more. But I went from having no time to read, sit and read a printed book, to needing a list of books that I could read or listen to so I could quickly bounce from one audiobook to the next. I traded one problem for another. And that's where my superpower of organizing information came into play. I needed a list of books I could read or listen to, but not just any books. I wanted to be mindful about the books that I chose. There were books that I always wanted to read. So, since I didn't have time before and now I had audiobooks, I could finally read the Narnia series or listen to, let's just say read. I listened to the Twilight series, the Hunger Games series, and so many more. I conquered all kinds of series of books. I started taking screenshots of books online. I took pictures of books that I saw at the library and in bookstores. And then the problem was I didn't take the time to write down the books or print out those pictures I had just taken, so I forgot what I wanted to read. Even now, years later, I have gone through my photos and I find pictures of books that I never read that I took a picture of among my other pictures of family on my phone. Information is only helpful when you do something with it, just saying. It took me years to find a good system, but my book binder works for me now. So I have this thing that I call a book binder. I organize the books that I want to read with a 1-inch 3-ring binder. There are probably 100 pages in it today, but it works. What I do is I print out a single page, whether it's from my photos or Amazon.com or wherever it comes from. I need that book cover with the title and the author information. And then once I have that printed piece of paper, it's super old school. I take a 3-hole puncher and I punch holes in the piece of paper. I put it into the binder and I write down where the information came from, whether I found it at the library or online, Facebook, or a friend recommended it, wherever it came from, and I put the date. Occasionally, I will still find a picture of a book in a newspaper, a magazine, or a library newsletter, or something that's printed. And they all these things end up in the binder somehow. I have a plastic sleeve that I insert little clippings into, and yeah, I go through those too. Every time I need a book, I go to the 3-ring binder. As I was getting ready for this podcast episode, I went through, I think, all of it. I took all of the little clippings out of the sleeve, went through those. I took all of the pages, well, I flipped through the binder and I looked at all these recommendations from people and all these different sources and what dates I put these things into the binder. It's fascinating. I have, it looks like 5 years or more worth of information. That's amazing. I love having a go to source for book recommendations. It's awesome. And then once I read a book, I handwrite the title and the author on a piece of notebook paper that happens to be in the front of the binder. And why do I do that? It's so I can look back on all of the books that I've read from year to year. I find it personally satisfying to look back and see the names of all these books. Now, I'm letting my freak flag fly by telling you about all of this, the bookbinder and all the things, but what I do works for me. I am proud of it, and it makes me happy. I read between 20 and 30 books every year, and I have at least 50 to 100 recommendations waiting for me in my bookbinder. And if you like this idea, please use it. There's other stuff in there too. For example, there are books that I would like to write. I have mentioned on this podcast in other episodes that I would like to write other books. So there are book ideas, book title ideas, etc. in this binder as well. Everything bookish is in this binder. I call it my book binder. Where do I hear about all these books, all these great books that I either have read or that I'm going to read? I get ideas from all kinds of places. I get ideas from people I trust, like friends and family, including my mom, who is in at least one book group, and she tells me what she's reading. Sometimes it sounds good, and I end up reading it as well. I also get ideas from people I have professional relationships with, like colleagues and speakers at conferences. Some of my coaches have recommended books as well. I get ideas from our local brick and mortar bookstores. We have one independent and one chain bookstore that I can think of right now. I get ideas from my local libraries. We have a library here in Perrysburg, Ohio called Way Public Library. And we also have the Toledo Lucas County Public Library System that I go to as well. I find ideas through online searches. I'm sure you can imagine Amazon.com and Goodreads. When I sign into Amazon.com, I have the ability to follow authors like James Patterson, John Grisham, and all the rest. When they have a new book that comes out, Amazon will email me or somehow bring it to my attention. I also get ideas from social media, of course, like Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I also get ideas from entertainment like podcasts, TV shows, and YouTube videos. Inspiration comes from a variety of places. Now, I'm not picky about how I learn about the books, but I am picky about what I read. I always vet books before they make it into my binder, so it's not going to get printed out unless I'm serious about reading it. And there are plenty of books that I have printed out and I've just never read them and I've lost interest, so I just tear that page out and I recycle it. All right, now at this time, I would like to share 26 books that I plan to read. Hopefully, I've numbered these correctly and there are only 26. And no, I'm not joking. I am going to read you a list of books that are on my list. I'm already letting my freak flag fly. Let's let it fly high and be proud. Now, this does not include some of the books that I plan to read with my son, Kraig. Kraig is 22 and has autism. He does not read, write, or speak, so he lets me read to him. Right now, we are reading a series called the Spy School series by Stuart Gibbs. That is not among the list of 26 here, but I just wanted to say these are just books for me. All of the books that I'm about to tell you about are just for me. And hey, maybe you'll hear about your next read from me. And after this list, I'll wrap this episode up. All right, let's dive in. Number one is My Friends, a novel by Frederick Backman. I recognized the author's name. I believe Amazon emailed me. So I recognized the author's name because I read one of his other books, which is called A Man Called Uwe. Ove, Uwe. I think it's a Swedish name. Anyways, that was a great book. I figured this one would be as well. This book is described as an unforgettably funny, deeply moving tale of four teenagers whose friendship creates a bond so powerful that it changes a complete stranger's life 25 years later. That's the end of the first one. Let's move on to the second one. It is called The Book Swap. It's the romance novel about book lovers for book lovers. Uplifting, moving, and full of love by Tessa Bickers. This was recommended to me by my friend Tiffany. Tiffany probably reads 100 books a year. She is so fast at reading. Anyways, number three, Atlas of the Heart, Mapping Meaningful Connection and the Language of Human Experience by Brene Brown. That was recommended to me by my good friend Elmasa. Number four is 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman. This one was recommended to me by my audiobook accountability buddy, Laura. Laura and I have been friends for 5 to 6 years. We met when we were both in audiobook narration training with Sean Pratt. Number five on my list is Mindset, The New Psychology of Success by Carol S. Dweck, PhD. I picked this one up randomly at a library book sale in Toledo, Ohio, more than 10 years ago, I would say. And I would say that at least a handful of people have recommended this book to me over the years. It has just been sitting on my shelf. I need to finally read this one. It is on my list. And even though I have it in print, I may end up borrowing the audiobook from the library. I much prefer audiobooks when it comes to this type of a book. Number six on the list is The E-Myth Revisited, Why Most Small Businesses Don't Work and What to Do About It by Michael E. Gerber. I heard about this book from the Metapreneurs Summit in Kansas City in 2023. Number seven is The Tipping Point, How Little Things Can Make a Big Difference by Malcolm Gladwell. I found out about this book from some of my Toastmasters friends, Mike Anstadt and Kraig Bogner. Number eight on my list is The Exchange, After the Firm by John Grisham. My husband showed this one to me in a bookstore, and he pointed out that it is the sequel to the book The Firm. The Firm by John Grisham. The movie version, I believe, starred Tom Cruise back in the day. This one's a little bit older, but anyways, The Exchange is the sequel. I loved The Firm, so maybe I'll reread that before I read The Exchange. The next one is number nine, The Purpose Code, How to Unlock Meaning, Maximize Happiness, and Leave a Lasting Legacy by Jordan Grummett. Jordan Grummett, MD. I learned about this book from my podcasting coach, Dave Jackson, from the School of Podcasting. Number 10 is $100 Million Leads, How to Get Strangers to Want to Buy Your Stuff by Alex Hormozy. This one was recommended to me by my friend Jason. Number 11 is Platform, Get Noticed in a Noisy World by Michael Hyatt. And this was another book recommended by Dave Jackson, my podcasting coach. Number 12 is The Body Keeps the Score, Brain, Mind, and Body in the Healing of Trauma by Bessel van der Kolk. This one was recommended by my nonfiction audiobook narration coach, Sean Pratt, in the year 2019 or 2020. He actually narrated this audiobook for Dr. van der Kolk. I think that's fascinating. So I want to hear my audiobook narration coach's voice in my ears as I listen to this one. Again, it's called The Body Keeps the Score. Number 13 is Nobody Wants Your Shit, The Art of Decluttering Before You Die by Messi Kondo. I have seen this book in Facebook ads, and as a person who wants to declutter her own home and downsize someday, I want to read this book for information. And I love the title because it's got a curse word in it and it really hits home. My kids will probably think that all the things that I have accumulated over the years are shit by the time I die. Anyways, moving on. Oh, before I get to number 14, I just want to say that this book, the Nobody Wants Your Shit book, is narrated by Hillary Huber. Hillary Huber, a long time ago, probably the year 2018 or 2019, met with me via Zoom, and I was looking for a nonfiction audiobook narration coach, and I considered working with Hillary. So, Hillary and I have spoken via the internet, the magic of Zoom, as I was vetting her as a coach. She's more of a fiction type of a person, and she sent me over to Sean Pratt, who I already told you about, and I worked with him for 14 months and graduated from his program. I'm looking forward to listening to this book, however, because I know Hillary and I'm looking forward to hearing her narrate this book. All right, now we're on to number 14. We're over halfway through here on my list. Number 14 is Die with Zero Getting All You Can from Your Money and Your Life by Bill Perkins. This book was recommended to me by Tim Ulbrich, PharmD. He is the host of Your Financial Pharmacist podcast. I think I have seen this one come across my desk at least twice, so it's time to read this one. And this is an author read audiobook, which I am a big fan of. I love it when authors read their own books. Looking forward to that one. Number 15 is I Will Teach You to Be Rich. No guilt, no excuses, no BS, just a 6-week program that works. Second edition by Ramit Sethi. This book was also recommended by Tim Ulbrich from Your Financial Pharmacist podcast. Number 16 is Cassandra in Reverse by Holly Smale. This was recommended to me by my friend Kathy. Apparently, this is also a Reese's Book Club pick from June 2023. I didn't know that until I went to Amazon.com to print out the cover art and the title and the author. The description from Reese Witherspoon says, fascinating, witty, self deprecating. We meet Cassandra on the worst day of her life. She's getting fired, her boyfriend dumps her, and her roommates hate her. On the same day, she discovers she has the power to go back in time. You'd think you would know how this book's going to end, but it really surprised me. There's a twist at the end that I did not see coming. Again, that is the description from Reese Witherspoon. Apparently, it's one of her book club picks. Moving on to number 17, What You Must Know About Women's Hormones, second edition. Your Guide to Natural Hormone Treatments for PMS, Menopause, Osteoporosis, PCOS, and more by Pamela Warshan Smith, MD, MPH. I heard about this book from my buddy Greg Cramp, PharmD. He was attending the annual meeting of the Ohio Pharmacists Association. I think I was there the same day, but I missed this session because I picked a different one. And, anyways, he took a picture of this book, the book cover. He sent it to me and he said, "You got to catch this CE on the replay. It was really good." So I did watch the CE. Yes, it was good. And I printed out the picture that Greg had sent me of the book, and I plan to read this book someday. But unfortunately, there is not an audiobook, so this one's going to have to wait until I have time to read it. This book does sound rather timely for me. I am a 47-year-old woman. Thanks, Greg. The next two books are by Gary Vaynerchuk. They are numbers 18 and 19. Let's go with number 18 first. The first one is The Thank You Economy, again by Gary Vaynerchuk. People call him Gary V. The description online says if this were the year 1923, this book would have been called Why Radio is Going to Change the Game. And if it were the year 1995, it would be called Why Amazon is Going to Take Over the Retailing World. There's a lot more to the description. I'm not going to read all of it, but I have read one of Gary V's books before, and they're really good. So I'm going to read The Thank You Economy eventually. The other book that I have read by Gary V is called Day Trading Attention. I had to think of it because it's been a few months since I read it. Day Trading Attention by Gary V. I already read that. All right, moving on to number 19. Again, this is a Gary Vaynerchuk book, and it's called Jab, 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 Right Hook: How to Tell Your Story in a Noisy Social World. This one was recommended to me by my friend Jason. Thanks, Jason. Number 20 is The Audience is Listening, a little guide to building a big podcast by Tom Webster. That recommendation came from Dave Jackson from the School of Podcasting. As you can probably tell, there's a little bit of a theme going on here. I like personal development books about communication. Number 21 is the book that I'm reading now. It's called Dirty 30. It's a Stephanie Plum novel. It's book number 30 in the series by author Janet Ivanovich. My friend Mindy got me started on these books back in, I don't know what year. My kids were in preschool, so it probably would have been 2008, 2009 ish. I love this series. It is great. And then number 22 is a book in that series. It's book 31 in the Stephanie Plum series. It's called Now or Never. Again, the author is Janet Ivanovich. They're about a female bounty hunter, and she has a lot of bad luck, blows up cars, has trouble with men. It is hilarious, and I love this series. Number 23 is All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker. I saw this book in a bookstore last October, according to what I wrote on the page. It's still on my list, waiting, so I'm going to check this one out. The description says it's an epic love story told over 3 decades with astonishing plot twists. I'll give it a try. Number 24 is The Time Traveler's Wife. Spoiler alert, I have read this book before and I liked it so much, I want to read it again. There are very few books in my life that I have reread. I've reread the Harry Potter series. I have reread this one called Where the Heart Is by Billy Letts. I have read the Twilight series twice. There's very few books that I've reread, but this one's so good. I'm going to reread The Time Traveler's Wife. So if you have not read that one, check it out and then watch the movie. Oh my gosh, the movie broke my heart. It was a fascinating read. The movie was actually really good compared to the book. Often, the book is better than the movie, but I must say, I think they nailed the movie. It was really quite good. Enough about The Time Traveler's Wife. Number 25, we're getting close to the end here. 25 is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I did not read this last summer or whenever all the hype was. It was all over my Facebook feed one year. I think it was last summer. I have not read it. I still have not read it. So again, it's called It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. And number 26 is the second book in that short series. There's a 2-book series, and the second book is called It Starts With Us. And again, it's by Colleen Hoover. It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. I would like to read it since it happens to be part of a series. 25 and 26 have gotten a lot of hype. I'm hoping to read those whenever my brain needs a break from nonfiction, because apparently these Colleen Hoover books are fiction. And that's the end of the list of books that I plan to read coming up here. That'll get me through the end of 2025 and probably through the entire year of 2026. Organizing information is one of my superpowers. If you like books and audiobooks, I really hope you enjoyed this episode and maybe it gave you some ideas. Now, if you're not that into books, thanks for hanging in there for this episode. And I want you, the non-book lover, to take away that what makes you weird is probably your superpower. I like to organize information, and I think I'm good at it. Keeping a book binder is just one example. I have found that sharing what I like to organize helps other people. I have other things that I like to organize. It's not just books, I swear. I have organized my grocery list, meals that my family enjoys, and by sharing those, other people have benefited. I have this grocery shopping binder that has meal ideas and my master grocery list in it. And I'll tell you about that another time. I might even make a YouTube video about that. So many people hear about it, they see it, and then they want to learn more. So maybe you'll be interested as well. Listen, having the discipline to create a system, whether it's for books, dinner ideas, grocery shopping, or something else, has freed up a lot of time for me, and it could free up some time for you. It helps me feel less stressed. I enjoy books. I don't want to feel stressed when it's time to pick out a new one. I don't want to delay picking out a book because I don't have a good system in place to remember the things that I want to read. That's so frustrating just thinking about it. If there's something in your life that is a recurring source of stress, come up with a system, get organized, and see how much freedom you get from something as simple as a bookbinder. You can do it. If I can do this, you can do it too. All right, I'm going to end it right there. My freak flag is flying proudly. I hope that if you have something that you enjoy doing, that you recognize it as a superpower and let your freak flag fly as well. This has been the Pharmacist's Voice podcast, episode 345. Visit thepharmacist'svoice.com to read the show notes. In those show notes, you will find links to the books mentioned today, all 26 of them, a link to my business website, my online store, my social media links, and more. Everything you need is on thepharmacist'svoice.com. If you know somebody who might like this episode, maybe they're a bookish person, they like books and audiobooks, please share this episode with them. And if you like this podcast, subscribe to or follow the Pharmacist's Voice podcast on your favorite podcast player and YouTube to get each new episode right when it comes out. Thanks for listening today. Have a safe Labor Day weekend, and I'll talk to you next Friday.